I have a confession to make. Okay, hold on just a second. Before we get to that, I think you need a little bit of a history lesson. A little history lesson on how I came up with the name Kooblikon. You gotta turn back the clock to the year 2003. And man, what a year it was to be a kid. During this time, there was a bunch of movies and books and video games that were coming out that shaped who I am today, and they still hold a very special place inside of my heart. Since I was just a wee little lad, I was Okay, we'll just roll with this. Anyway, I was 12 years old, and beyond all this, one of the things I lived for was Saturday morning cartoons, baby.
Let's do it. I want to be the very best, like no one ever. As we work towards one solution, through a spirit evolution.
There were some shows that made me jump out of bed in the morning. And then there was stuff that made me want to go right back to sleep.
Yo! Don't give it up, Lupe. Don't give it up, Solo. Don't give it up now, man. Don't give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. Here's how the story goes.
Oddly enough, we need to focus on an anime that never really hit the big time, called Shaman King. It was in this anime where I first heard the name Kooblikon, a name I thought they made up.
Aren't you hungry?
I am concerned, mainly about the Chinese spirit warrior. He is from the time of Kublai Khan, and he is finely trained in the art of war.
But I take this kid and his Kublai Khan Yuan dynasty thug very seriously. Ah, you heard him.
Okay, hold on. Do we not have any pictures of me as a teenager? Oh, well, I mean, that's more like it. Anyway, it's 2003, and I'm spending as much of my time as I can in the game capital of the world, at the time of course, GameStop. Namely, it was one next to a Subway, where that signature Subway smell lingered in. Almost every day after school, while I waited for my mom, I'd head right past stinky Subway, straight into GameStop, and make a beeline to the used game section. I absolutely loved going through the used games, looking at those nasty old sticky cases with their bright yellow stickers, trying to find a good deal so I could beg my mom to buy me one. Now you might be wondering how any of this is related. Video games, anime, Saturday morning cartoons, Kooblikon, Subway. Well, it all kind of came to this strange culmination. After months and months of sifting through the Subway scented bins at GameStop, I'd finally found it. A game based on an anime that's based on a game that doesn't actually exist.
Is it just a game, or something far more dangerous? Dot Hack Part 1, Game and DVD for PlayStation 2 from Bandai, rated T for teen.
Now mind you, try to keep this straight, this game emulates an MMO called The World, which doesn't actually exist, and this game is entirely offline. Offline like most games were at this point. Don't forget, it was 2003. Xbox Live was only a year old, World of Warcraft was still a year away. So I took this game home, and I was faced with something I'd never been faced with before. Whenever a video game would give me the choice, I would always name the main character after myself, Alex. Easy enough, right? I only had to use both of my brain cells to come up with that name. At this point, usernames really weren't that big of a deal. Online, most people were using their real name or a name attached to a fandom they were a part of. And in single-player offline games, everybody just named the character after themselves, or they just left the character with their original name. So I arrived home, game in hand, shoved it in my PlayStation 2, and I was met with a screen that asked me for 2 names.
Okay, user registration is done. Now for a name. Yasuhiko's probably already there.
Please enjoy this incredibly dramatic reenactment of the day it all went down. I was completely lost on what to give my character for a second name, until Saturday morning cartoons came to the rescue, baby.
Kublai Khan's, Kublai Khan's, Kublai Khan's, Kublai Khan's, Kublai Khan's, Kublai Khan's, Kublai Khan.
Admittedly, I thought Kublai Khan was some sort of bootleg reference to Genghis Khan, made up for this show. I didn't consider he was a real person with a real name, so in my head, it was Kooblikon, baby. It wasn't until a few years later when a friend's sister started telling me about the history of Kublai Khan. Only then did I realize it was a real person, and by that point, it was too late. The name was mine. And that's how we got to where we are now, where I still go by this name, and I still spell it this way. Now back to me to hand it back to me. Okay, back to whatever he was gonna say. I've had this username for 17 years now, and even I don't know how it's pronounced, so feel free to just call me Koob.